I'm not gonna lie, I never have and never will hate Raihn Rage.
Septimus is just lighting up another cigarillo as one does, which, Septimus, what are you up to?
It was comparing him to Scar from The Lion King that left me the worst. I was like, he is a terrible villain.
Choosing words with purpose is a powerful way to show we're thinking about how we affect the people around us. Excuse me?
Like, you're about to get a big Nightfire-fueled middle finger if you say that again. Like,
do not touch me right
don't
now.
even. Hi, and welcome to Romantasy Remedy. I'm Whitney.
And I'm Kenzie. We're sisters-in-law and book besties who thrive on daily doses of magic and romance from our favorite fantasy stories.
So, if your emotional support animal is a dragon and your therapist has shadow powers, you're in the right place. Thanks for being here and for liking, rating, and following our show. Before we get started, this is our official content warning. Simply put, Romantasy Remedy is a podcast for grown-ups. The topics and language will reflect that. Please listen at your comfort level.
And one more thing before we dive into The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent, our spoiler warning. For most of the episode, there will only be spoilers for chapters 51 through 54, but at the end of today's episode, we will have our spoilers central segment where we make connections to events later in the book and the entire Crowns of Nyaxia series. Don't worry, we'll give another big warning before Spoiler Central begins.
Thanks, Kenz. One of our goals at Romantasy Remedy is to highlight how books in this genre inspire readers. When we see characters facing fears, overcoming challenges, and growing into their potential, it helps us to do the same. So each week, we'll choose a quote from the chapters we read to be an affirmation, a phrase to empower and motivate us. This week's affirmation says, "Say words that mean something." We love this because words are powerful. Whether spoken or written, they have the ability to create, inspire, unite, heal, and more. And we have the privilege of choosing our words and how we wield them. We base this affirmation on words spoken by Araya. Keep listening to get all the details surrounding this amazing quote later in the episode. And don't forget, you can find a printable version of the affirmation in the show notes in case you want to stick it on your mirror or your fridge or wherever. And with that, Kenzie is going to recap what happened in this week's section of chapters.
Man. Can't believe it. We're getting to the end of the book already.
So crazy.
It is. Okay. Raihn wakes up after the trial and realizes what Araya did. He's gutted. His big wish to Nyaxia: restore the Nightborn crown to the Rishon airline, aka him. She grants it. Bloodborne soldiers flood the Colosseum. Raihn kills Vincent in front of everyone. Araya barely gets to her father in time to hear his last words, that he loved her. Cue total Nightfire meltdown, and then, surprise, Araya sprouts an air mark too. Things just got complicated. Raihn restrains her, but when the crowd sees her air mark, they want her dead. Raihn saves her by claiming he'll chain her up as his prisoner queen. Everyone buys it. Romance, right? When back at the Nightborn castle, Raihn explains everything to Araya. His deal with Vincent, his failed attempts to burn off the air mark, how he always liked her more than he should have, and, oh yeah, she's probably Vincent's actual daughter, which means she's half human, half vampire, and fully screwed. Raihn's solution, a wedding. Tonight, with no time to waste, Raihn leaves to find a priestess.
I can't believe how close we are to the end of this book.
No, I can't
either. I have
either.
to ask you, when you read this for the first time, how shocked were you by this plot twist? Because I wasn't shocked that Araya wished to save Raihn. I saw that coming. But Raihn being the Rishon heir and killing Vincent and Araya being half vampire, all of that totally surprised me.
100%.
And I remember I was reading it and my husband walked in while I was reading it, and I must have looked so visibly distraught because he was like asking if I was okay and if the book was not going the way I expected. So tell me, what was it like for you when you read this?
I feel the same way. Like you said, you're not shocked that she saved Raihn, but the aftermath of her saving Raihn and the absolute chaos that ensues. And then, I mean, we all knew Raihn was something, right? And we've heard about his burns and his scars, but then find out like he there's just so much to talk about. And yes, I was shocked, and I was shocked by Rain's immediate um killing of Vincent. I'm like,
It was very immediate, like right away.
right? Like,
Oh, gosh.
it was one of those times where you like, you'll read a few chapters before bed. It was like, nope, I have to finish this book now because what is happening?
Yes. Yeah. Nobody can go to sleep with
No.
that going on.
No.
All right. Before we get too much into that part, though,
Yes.
let's back up because Nyaxia immediately grants Araya's wish and
Yes.
revives Rain. And Araya starts sensing right away that something isn't quite right based on everybody's reactions. Rain is dismayed. Septimus is pushing his way to the front of the crowd, all like happy, which should be a big clue that something is not as it should be. And then Vincent is trembling. I mean, he looks unwell. So Rain asks Nyaxia to restore the power of the Rishon Nightborn King to him. And when she does, his heir mark is revealed. So the Bloodborne soldiers start marching into the Colosseum. And next, Rain goes to confront Vincent. Tell us about that interaction, Kenz.
Oh, gosh. Okay, so Rain approaches Vincent. We have all the last few chapters gotten, through the book, we've kind of got the feeling for how Rain truly feels about Vincent, right? And people are physically restraining Araya while Rain approaches him. And Rain speaks to Vincent about how he had tried to kill anyone who might have challenged him 200 years ago. And then he says, "You missed one." And so dramatic.
Dun, dun, dun.
I know, right? What a plot twist. And he grabs Vincent by the throat and slams him into a wall. And, doing what he's been doing throughout the whole
point where I was
like,
please probably had my Kindle like, ah!
So, and it's interesting because actually before killing him, he turned to Araya and mouthed, "Look away," which is total opposite of Vincent always telling Araya to look them in the eyes. So, like, you still see Rain caring for her in this moment, I think, by
before he kills her dad.
Right. But he still cares about her, right? And Rain uses his magic to kill Vincent. People usually, like, when we've talked to him, have pretty strong feelings about Rain at this moment. I mean, I felt kind of like I have with Vincent throughout this book, conflicted with Rain, because I love Rain and he's been so good to Araya and so solid, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, what's going on?
The struggle is real.
Yes. What about you? What?
I'm not going to lie. I never have and never will hate Rain Ashraj. But I get it when people do in this moment. In fact, one of my good friends, and you know this friend, Liza, she sent me a text when she read this part. And this is what it said. I asked her if I could read it because it was so perfect for our conversation today. She said, "Rain can add himself to one of the worst villains along with Calvin from the Red Queen series, Hans from Frozen, and Scar from The Lion King."
She did not.
And oddly enough, it was comparing him to Scar from The Lion King that, like, got me the worst. I was like, he is a terrible villain. I think it's like a traumatic moment from my childhood, like watching Mufasa die in the movie theater when I was a child. Sure. I was like,
I think the Hans from Frozen is so funny. My youngest is into Frozen all of a sudden out of nowhere. So this weekend, I think we've watched it 5 times. And so Hans from Frozen, I'm like, oh, no.
So those are strong words from Liza. Thank you, Liza.
So
but
funny.
I know she's not alone. Like, I've told you before, Kenz, I'm in this Facebook group that is for fans of Carissa Broadbent, and I've seen so many people hop on there and vent their feelings about Rain and what he does here. There's one lady, she was so funny, but she just kept saying how much she hoped that Araya would unalive Rain. And I was like, I understand your rage. I get it.
That's so funny. I had a rage, but like I really wasn't that bothered either. I was like,
well, and I kind of understand that.
Terrible.
If you look at it from Rain's perspective, he is the Rishon heir. All of the Rishon are counting on him. Okay.
Yes.
And does he love Araya? Yes. But their relationship is still really new. It's only been a
Right.
few months.
Right.
Also, he's witnessed Vincent like abuse and betray her over and
Yes.
over again in the time that he's known her. And so I
Yes.
wonder sometimes if like there was a part of him that thought not only was this going to help the Rishon, but it would help Araya too if his
Well,
guy
and
is
let's
just out
not
of the
forget
picture.
what he did with Salanay. Like,
Yes. Yes.
that in and of itself.
I know.
Justified.
So am I happy that he killed Vincent? No.
Yeah.
Do I get it? A little bit. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Regardless, Araya goes up in night fire flames when she sees Vincent die, and her captors release her because they don't want to burn to death. And she runs to Vincent, and I wanted to read just how this heart-wrenching moment is written.
Oof.
This is Vincent speaking, so these are his last words to Araya. I love you. I loved you from the first moment. Bubbles of blood formed at the corners of his mouth. His gaze drifted past me to the night sky. Then it dragged back to me, the movement slow, laborious, like he was working very hard to make sure I was the last thing he saw. So many mistakes in the end, he choked out. Never you. I don't hate Vincent. I'm sorry. I don't hate him either.
It's... Oh, is that the first time, too, that he's ever said, I loved you to her?
Yes, because even in, like, their most tender moments, like, for example, at the ball when they're dancing together, they have that sweet daddy-daughter dance, you know, he expresses that he's very proud of her, but, like, this is the first time he says, I love you. I appreciate that he admits, too, like, he's made so many mistakes, but that she was not one of them.
Right.
And, oh, gosh, it breaks my heart. And so poor Araya, I can only imagine.
I think that's the best way to put it. It breaks your heart for her.
Yeah.
In this moment.
Totally.
Yeah.
She deserved to hear this from him every single day of her life, but I'm glad she got to hear it at least once before he died, which he does in her arms, and then she is pissed with a capital P. So
that's to say the least.
What does she do next, Kenz?
To say the least. You know, that night fire again goes berserk, and like berserk, big capital B berserk.
Yes.
And it's Raihn who grabs her this time, and he tries to calm her, and he even goes back to what he's told her before, where he's like, you're safe. But if he said that to like me in this situation, I'd be like, excuse me, like
you're about to get a big night fire fueled middle finger if you say that again. Like,
do not touch me right
don't
now.
Even go there.
Right. It's like, nice try. Then Raihn and Carissa realize that an air mark has now appeared on Araya's neck, right? And could this night like get any worse from Araya? I mean, she wins by having to kill her lover. Her lover then kills her father, and now all of a sudden she has an air mark. Like,
it's not funny. It's not funny. No. If I wasn't laughing, I would cry. So,
and this is where the final section of the book, Night, begins. No interlude this time, just jumping right in. And the Rishon immediately start closing in on Araya to kill her, because as we've seen throughout the book, when it's explained some of the world building, like, you kill the other heir so that no one has kind of like a say to the throne, right? And so Raihn's got an air mark, Araya's got an air mark. Conflict of interest here.
Yes, totally.
Side note, Septimus is just standing on the sideline still and lighting up another cigarillo as one does, which, Septimus, what are you up to?
Just chilling. Just the cigarillos. Right. It's fine. It's fine.
Right.
Watching the drama like it's like a soap opera on TV. It's like, you guys just let me know when you're done.
He really is.
With this.
That man. So Raihn stops them from killing Araya. He's claiming he has better plans for her, right? He goes on to say he's basically going to marry her against her will and rape her. They talked about when Vincent came into power. And
they basically accused Vincent of raping Nessanin. However, I don't think it's ever actually confirmed that he did that.
No.
She was the last person of the court that Vincent killed, which makes me wonder why that is. So
and it makes me wonder,
they all hated Vincent.
So what goes through Araya's mind when Raihn says this? Tell me.
Well, she thinks this. I couldn't even process what I was hearing. So different. Mother, Raihn was so good at performances, but I didn't know which one was real anymore, which version of him was true. And that sucks because just a few chapters ago, when we were all swooning over Raihn, Araya felt like he was the first real honest thing in her life. And so this must have just, I mean, obviously this all sucks. Like he killed her
Right.
dad.
Right.
So much to unpack there. But then this on top of it, of her like not knowing who the real Raihn is after thinking he was the most honest thing
Right.
ever
Like she
in her
finally
life.
feels connected to someone,
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
I just feel awful for her. And this performance, though, does allow Raihn to get Araya away from everybody. And he tells Araya he's so effing sorry. And I'm like, you just need to stop talking. Like, just.
This is when we just zip it.
There is nothing you can say right now
No.
to fix this. Like,
No.
so, of course, she just says she hates him. And
Right.
he goes, there she is. And uses magic to make Araya fall asleep. This is really the worst. Like, just the
It
worst.
really is. And there's just so much to unpack in just that little
I know.
interaction.
I know.
So he puts her out with his magic. So when Araya wakes up, she actually realizes she's back in the castle in her own room. And she examines this new heir mark that she all of a sudden has in the mirror before Raihn comes in. And she full on attacks him, which is still pissed, right? We're talking like scratching, biting, punching, whatever she can do without weapons, she's going for it. Like no holds bar on that one. And Raihn eventually pins her enough to say he wants to explain. As much as she wants to claw his eyes out, like she wants to hear him out at the same time. She wants answers, right? She wants answers more than she wants to kill him in this moment. And so she listens as he begins by saying he's never lied to her. And I think that's true. He's never lied to her up to this point. And she goes, say words that mean something. And this is where we pulled the affirmation for this episode, which I love. While I hate that Araya is going through this, she definitely gifted us a nugget of wisdom here. Our words are powerful, and often we use that power to hurt rather than help. Or we don't utilize that power at all by just saying what we think we're supposed to say instead of being authentic, or saying what will boost our own pride rather than connect with another person. So, which is why Araya says it in the first place. Raihn is giving her the I never lied to you speech, and she doesn't care right now, does not care about honesty right now. Yeah, his half-truths hurt, but it's a minuscule hurt compared to the gaping wound that is Vincent's death, don't you think?
I agree. And to be fair, I don't think there's anything Raihn could have said in this moment to make her feel better, but maybe just say that. Like,
Right.
just say there's nothing I can say to fix this and
Right.
own it. And start giving the answers that Araya really needs and asked for. And that's why this affirmation, I think, is so important and so helpful. Saying words that mean something require us to pay attention to other people and really, truly listen to them. To be more focused on that rather than on our own issues and insecurities. Maybe a simpler and more widely applicable way to look at this is to just say, be intentional with your words.
Yes.
Like Dumbledore said, to quote another literary masterpiece, like Dumbledore said, words are our most inexhaustible source of magic. I love that quote. And I fully believe it. That's why we love reading so much in the first place, right?
Right. 100%.
Because of the magic that authors create by intentionally crafting their words. So I feel like we could go on and on about this. I could talk about it all night.
This could
but
be
I'll
a whole
try
episode.
to wrap it up. The bottom line with this affirmation is that words are powerful. They can heal, they can hurt, they can create or they can destroy, inspire, deflate, unite, divide. So everybody just print out this affirmation and let's all remind ourselves to say words that mean something.
It's a deep thinker. I like that one.
I like it too. And speaking of using words intentionally, Raihn goes on to
Yes.
explain
Yes.
that
Yes.
when
Please
Araya's
explain.
air mark appeared, he said whatever words he needed to in order to stop everyone from killing her. But no, he has no intentions of raping her.
Right.
I think we knew that. We knew he would not do that.
Yes.
And he tells Araya more of the details of his past. So,
Yes.
Kenz, please fill us in on Raihn's history.
Gladly. The vampire who turned him was Nikolai, the Rishon vampire king at the time. And when Vincent was in the Kajari, Raihn made a deal with him. This blew my mind when I read it, by the way.
Right?
He
I know.
gave Vincent keys to the kingdom's stronghold and other information so Vincent could destroy it.
Crazy. So crazy.
Yeah, really blew my mind. Did not see it coming. So Vincent was supposed to protect the innocents in this exchange he had with Raihn. He clearly did not. He killed humans, Rishon children, everyone. Nessanin was one of the last to die, which is why the Rishon think Vincent raped her.
Right.
Raihn got out of the House of Night before things got really crazy, but when Nikolai died, Raihn's heir mark appeared, and he tried to burn it off without success.
Can you imagine how he must have felt? I mean, he's been trying to get away from this vampire king who's held him captive, and he's like turned, right? So formerly a human.
Right.
And then this air mark just like grows out of his skin. Like,
right. Well,
what in the world?
He probably never even thought like,
no,
that probably never even crossed his mind.
That's not how it
was
works.
Something
It's
that
supposed
could
to be
happen.
like your child. So why would he?
Right. Which makes
Crazy.
you want to deep dive this whole turned thing and like what that entails or means. But it explains so much with his scars and all of that stuff. But gross.
Right. Absolutely.
Can't blame him. A former human's been captive for 70 years by a cruel vampire and just helped overthrow said vampire. And then his former captor and abuser's heir mark all of a sudden appears. Just branding him as the next vampire king. So I don't blame him for trying to get rid of it. Also, the heir mark is like just a big target. I feel
it's true. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Very true.
So Araya points out that this Kajari was for Raihn, what the last Kajari had been for Vincent. When Raihn agrees, she asks if she was just the past to steal the crown as well, and he immediately denies this. He says no. Tell us more about Raihn's response here.
So he admits that he initially chose to ally with Araya because of her connection to Vincent. But listen to the rest of his explanation and to Araya's thoughts about it. You reminded me of me, someone different. After a few hundred years, everyone seems the same. Not you. Not from that first night. So no part of that was a lie, Araya. Trust me. It would be simpler if it was. My chest hurt so much, I wanted him to be lying. It would be easy if he was lying. Easy to hate him if our friendship, our relationship, had been nothing but a performance. But I knew it wasn't. Even before I asked, it had all been real. This is very like Romeo and Juliet right now. Side note, we used to read Romeo and Juliet when I taught 9th grade language arts. And I'd always ask my students to look for modern examples in books, movies, shows, etc. I bet they would get a good chuckle out of their teacher reading spicy vampire books about star-crossed lovers.
If they only knew what you're up to now, right?
If they only knew. Maybe they read them now, too. They're all old enough. Maybe they read them now, too. Who knows? Araya asks why the House of Blood is involved. And Raihn tells her that Septimus somehow knew he was the Rishon heir. Septimus. He doesn't know how Septimus knew. This really tracks for Septimus because he is a sneaky dude. And
he really is.
During the Kajari, Septimus offered manpower to overthrow Vincent, which the Rishon desperately needed because, remember, Vincent had been killing so many of the Rishon.
Oh, yes.
And initially, Raihn refused this offer because Septimus is not trustworthy.
Right.
And Septimus offered a favor in exchange for Raihn allowing the Bloodborne to invade. Raihn still refused until he desperately needed a favor. And
Right.
what was that favor, Kenz?
Well, when Angelica was about to kill Aurea during the last trial, Rains nodded up to someone in the stands, if you remember. And right
Yes.
after Angelica stops fighting and Aurea kills her, Rain's nod was a cue to Septimus to call in the favor and officially involve the House of Blood, which is a huge deal.
Oh, gosh.
It's a
So it took Aurea almost dying to let
yes,
Septimus be part of this plan.
yes,
Okay.
yes. So to be fair, Rain probably anticipated Septimus never having the chance to bring his troops in, right? Because he intended all along for Aurea to win. He tells Aurea that he was willing to let it all go, let his kingdom fall, not just because he loved her, but because he believed she would be the kind of ruler he wanted to be, which is so sweet, but he thought she would be an even better ruler, right? So Aurea
Mm-hmm.
didn't imagine him pulling her hand when she stabbed him. He really did help stab his own chest. And she just messed up the plan by not letting him stay dead. Like, I think he, Aurea, you're so good, but it's just,
I mean, he didn't see that coming a little bit. Like,
no,
hey,
right?
I guess
It,
she doesn't come off as like a hopeless romantic. So
No. So he probably
maybe.
thought like she definitely wouldn't, and especially with the way she defended Vincent to him so often, he's probably like,
Right.
clearly she's gonna be okay with
Right.
this. Next they discuss Aurea's heir mark, which is when Rain theorizes that she's probably only half human and Vincent was her biological father. And Aurea is pretty much hyperventilating over this being hidden from her. Cause I think we were all hyperventilating at this point. And Rain
Yes.
assures her that they will look for answers after the wedding. And Aurea is like, hold up, wedding? Like, hell no. No wedding. Hell no.
Yeah.
um, and Rain insists that it's the only way he can keep her safe. And saying if she isn't his wife, she's his enemy. So they have to have that, what is it called?
That official union to
Yes, the
protect
union
her.
so that everyone kind of respects it. And
Mm-hmm.
Aurea cuts real deep with her next mark. She compares this forced marriage to Vincent forcing a Coriatis bond, which is so sad. How does Rain respond to Aurea?
Well, let me tell you. Rain says this. Think about this. Power is a bloody business. You know that as well as I do. We have teeth, you and I. Now is the time to use them. We'll rip apart the worlds that subjugated both of us, and from the ashes, we'll build something new. And there is no one I would rather have beside me to do that with than you, Aurea. No one. Pause. Rain is already sounding very kingly. What a pep talk.
Right.
And
Yes.
I do kind of love this vision he has for Obi Trace, that he and Aurea can change it and rule it together.
Right.
It almost makes you forget that he killed Aurea's dad. Almost.
This close.
But I told you I can't hate him. Anyway, he goes on to say, and when I leave this room and come back with the priestess, you will marry me. You will do it because I can't kill you. I tried. I can't. A world without you would be a dark, depressing place, and I've already inflicted enough pain without committing that injustice too. So let me save you. Now it was my turn to know he was right, to know that he meant every word of what he said and hate it. Anger made things easy. Love made things complicated. And this theme has shown up over and over again in the last two sections of this book. First, with Aurea's feelings about Vincent.
Yes.
And now, again, with her relationship with Rain. So I feel like we have to talk about it.
Right.
Does love make things complicated for us, just like it does for Aurea with both Vincent and Rain now?
It's the unfortunate truth of love, right? It does make things complicated in a lot of different ways. Complicated in, I don't know if there's a good way to be complicated, but complicated in good ways. And then complicated ways in you, I think, like we see with Aurea and Vincent, you accept things that you wouldn't accept from other people when you love someone. You're willing to give people excuses or leeway that you otherwise wouldn't for sake of love, right?
Yeah.
So of course it does. as much as it sucks that just it just it,
Yeah,
it just
it's
is. It's
true,
just part of
right?
it. Um,
Yeah, it would be so much
yeah.
easier if when someone makes a mistake, you're just like, oh, well, I hate you now, so moving on. Like, right, right. But love makes you have to forgive
Yeah.
and
And I think that's why I'm like complicated in a good way because I think love makes you a better person
sure.
too, because
Yeah.
I think it also makes you compromise
hmm
and look into someone else's perspective.
I guess without those quote unquote complications, like you really wouldn't have relationships, right?
No,
Because relationships just wouldn't survive if you didn't work through
for
love and
sure.
complications and forgiveness and all those things. So it's almost like it's just required to have those relationships that make our lives so meaningful.
For
You
sure.
have to be okay with the complicated part of
Yes.
loving someone.
Yeah. I think that's
Yeah,
what, like you said, that's what makes a relationship a deep, meaningful one, right? But
absolutely.
complicated or not, Rain leaves to go find a priestess before Araya can protest further. And
Man.
that is where we're going to end our exploration of the Serpent and Wings of Night for today.
Does
And
that
what
mean next time we get a wedding, a vampire wedding?
a version of a vampire wedding, right?
Oh,
Uh,
man.
so one of the best parts, right, of reading is learning things that help us with this messy adventure we call life. Each episode, we're going to share a true story that connects to lessons learned in the chapters we read. And today, I want to share I don't know if it's a story as much as just a lesson I learned from moms, because I feel like moms always have the best wisdom. And it's actually kind of goes along with our affirmation about say words that mean something. So I have one sibling. I am the oldest, and I have a younger brother. And we have the typical, older sister, younger brother relationship. And
Side
growing,
note, I was talking your ear off about Kindred's Curse Saga before we got
uh-huh,
into our episode. And the main character in that series, DM, she
uh-huh.
has one sibling, and it's a younger brother named Teller. And I'm not going to lie, sometimes I did think of you and your brother. And I was like, I could see this dynamic. I can picture it.
I need to read more about DM. Her and I might have a lot in common.
I think so. Okay, please tell us your story.
Yes.
Go on.
So growing up, my mom always reminded my brother and I that the way we spoke to each other mattered. And she taught us that words carry weight and we either needed to mean what we said or not say it at all. We would always say something or do something. We're like, I didn't mean it. And her thing was always like, well, mean not to. If you didn't mean it, mean not to. And that has
Mm-hmm.
stuck with me. And it was her way of reminding us that whether spoken or written or acted out, that we should be intentional with them. And through her guidance, we learned that meaningful communication isn't always just about what you say, but the thought and care about how you say it. And
I
that
love
lesson
that.
has stuck with me because being intentional with our words helps build trust. It shows respect and avoids unnecessary hurt. And I also think language isn't just about communication, it reflects our values, our intentions, and our care for others. And choosing words with meaning and purpose is a simple but powerful way to show we're thinking about how we affect the people around us. And I know, especially now as an adult in my life with a husband and children and family and in laws and all of those things, I try to put more care into what and how I say things. And specifically with my children, because I think it's important to also teach them this lesson. It's so funny. You're like, I'm not going to be like my mom, but I have 100% said, well, me not to, to my children. And I appreciate my mom saying that. It irritated me when I was younger, but I get what she was saying now.
It's like that classic phrase you hear where you open your mouth and your mother comes out of it.
Yes, 100%. I
But
didn't
that's a
mean
great
to.
lesson. I
Yeah.
love that phrase and I love that you're carrying it on. And I can relate because with my kids right now, my kids are ages, this, but ages 10, 8, and 3. So this is mainly
Yes.
applicable to the 10 and the 8-year-old. But they'll have a disagreement or a conflict and one will come to me to tell me about it and I'll say, oh, okay, well, did you tell them what you just told me? Like, did you say,
Right.
hey, when you said that, it really hurt my feelings because of A, B, and C? And they'll be like, no. I'm like, okay,
Yes.
go do that.
Yes.
Go communicate that. Don't yell at them. Don't freak out, but just say what you
Say
just
it.
told me.
I think
And it's just so interesting. I don't remember learning. I'm sure, we all learn this at some point, but
Right.
it's interesting as a parent to have to teach, just communicate your thoughts. Just say it.
And it's so funny because you feel like it's such a simple thing and it's such a simple thing to teach your children, but I think we're still learning it. I feel like I still am learning it half the time. And it's so funny when our kids are upset or mad or something, like my husband's always like, use your words. Use your words. And so sometimes when we're in arguments, I'm like, use your words, please.
I'm sure he really appreciates that.
And then all kinds of, no, I'm just kidding. No, it's great.
That's
It's just funny, but
That's awesome.
yeah.
It's really true, though. It's really good advice.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think we expect, and I'm talking about adults now, not kids, I think that we expect others to be mind readers and to just know what we're thinking and to just know where we're coming from, that we're having a terrible day or like that we're going through a really difficult patch in our lives. But people don't know that. They don't know anything about us. And so if we're not intentional with our words and with our communication, it's a big mess, really. So
for sure.
I love that this advice from your mom, and it goes with the affirmation.
Yeah.
Again, I feel like I could talk all day long about how words really are magic and powerful, but
it's the English teacher in you now, right?
I think it is. It is.
I love it. Yeah, no, it could be a whole TED talk on communication.
Agreed.
Well, before we go, let's take a moment to express gratitude to a character who we admire from this stretch of chapters. And today's note is from Vincent. So here it goes. Dear Vincent, thank you for using your breasts not to cling to power, not to curse your enemies, but to tell your daughter the words she had always needed to hear, that you loved her. You could have let that moment be about your kingdom, your crown. Instead, it was only about Aurea, about the bond between father and daughter that endured even through shadows and silence. Yes, you should have said it sooner, but you said it when it mattered most. And in that final moment, you gave Aurea something more valuable than any throne. You gave her certainty of your love. So from your friends at Romantasy Remedy, Vincent, thank you.
Thank you, Vincent. And thank you, Kenzie, for having this book chat with me about The Serpent and the Wings of Night. And thank you, everyone who listened. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us your comments on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you are listening. We would love to hear from you. We have reached the end of the main portion of our episode. Thank you so much for listening. Look for Romantasy Remedy on Instagram and TikTok. Check the show notes for those links, as well as links to the printable affirmation and soundtrack playlist on Spotify.
We're really looking forward to connecting with you and nerding out over all the best romantasy. After this, we'll begin the Spoiler Central segment of the episode, which you shouldn't listen to if you haven't finished the entire series, including the rest of this book. We're totally those book besties where one of us reads at a normal speed and one of us reads faster than you can winnow from here to Valaris. Since Whitney is a speed reader, I'm going to duck out while she does Spoiler Central.
All right, you've been warned. Here come the spoilers. The first thing I want to talk about in Spoiler Central today is Raihn telling Aurea that he never lied to her, and Aurea telling him to say words that mean something. In The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King, after Aurea rescues Raihn, they're hiding in his apartment in the human districts. Raihn offers Aurea a path to freedom by giving her gold and arranging passage out of Obi-Trace. Listen to what he says during that moment. I never apologized to you the way I should have, because everything you've ever said about me has been right, because you've always seen the goddess-damned truth, even when I was ashamed of it. What I did to you it was unforgivable. So, I won't ask for your forgiveness. I'm not going to stand here and tell you how sorry I am. What effing good does that do for you? I don't want to ask you for anything. I want to give you what you should have had a long time ago, because you are everything. I love how he tells her he isn't going to apologize because what good does that do for her? Almost as if he learned his lesson in The Serpent and the Wings of Night when she said, say words that mean something. Next, I want to talk about Vincent's last words to Aurea. Remember, he said, I love you. I loved you from the first moment. So many mistakes in the end, never you. Now, I'm about to get into some Fallen in the Kiss of Dusk spoilers. It's been out in the world for about a month, so I hope you've read it by now. It's incredible, so go read it if you haven't. One of my favorite things about Fallen in the Kiss of Dusk was Vincent helping Misha from the underworld. This passage from Vincent in Fallen made me think back to his last words to Araya in Serpent and the Wings of Night. Here's what he says to Misha. I am here because someone I once loved very much believed in the power of fate, the power of even the most inconsequential person to change it. Her goddess sent me to you, not my own, and I know that there is nothing I can ever do to right the terrible ways I wronged her, not in life and certainly not in death. But her daughter, our daughter, is up there still at the mercy of this game of gods. I will not allow her to suffer the consequences of it, and I do not care if the goddess-damned underworld collapses around me, but I will not allow it to take her with it. I didn't protect either of them in life, not the way I should have, but I will be damned if I don't protect them now, so get up. Vincent, along with all the others in the underworld who Misha has helped, rally Misha to step into her power at this point in the story. This is the moment when Misha discovers her heir mark. Because the underworld is collapsing, Vincent starts to fade away, and as he's fading away, he says this. She knows, I hope, how much I love her. I know that in life it was not enough, and I know that it isn't in death either. So I just love that Vincent is so focused on making things right with Araya, even in the afterlife. And that's actually all I have for Spoiler Central today. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. And I hope that you turn in next week for our last episode of The Serpent and the Wings of Night.